So in the last video we looked at different states of matter and their properties, and by adding heat we saw that we could change the state of matter. However, there are other things that can affect what state of matter something is in. So a phase diagram is a diagram that gives both temperature and pressure at which substances will exist at certain states, so at solid, liquids, or gases or vapors. So we see here that pressure can also affect whether or not something is a solid, liquid, or a gas. It also helps us to look at what changes matter will make under certain conditions. If we increase the pressure, if we change the temperature, what will happen to the substance. Now there's a special point on a phase diagram, it's called the triple point, where all three curves come together and all three phases would exist in equilibrium. So let's just take a look at one of these curves, and then we'll interpret some of these curves in class. So here we can see that you have pressure on this axis and you have temperature on this axis. So all of these graphs are going to look sort of like a Y here. So where we have lower pressure here and, oops, sorry, let me go back up. And we've got low temperature, you can see that this whole area to the left here is where the substance is going to exist as a solid. The blue is where it would be a liquid, and then the green is where it would be a gas. If the temperature and pressure fall on one of the lines in between, it would be either a solid or a liquid. Here it would be a liquid or a gas, and the triple point is the special position of equilibrium. It's the temperature and pressure where it could exist as a solid, liquid, or gas. Now you can see it shows the phase changes here. If you were to go from a solid to a liquid, we know that's melting. Or if you go from a liquid to a solid, that's freezing. If you go from a liquid to a gas, that's vaporization or evaporation or boiling. Going from a gas to a liquid is condensation. And then the less known ones are going directly between a gas and a solid. So going from a solid directly to a gas is sublimation, and going directly from a gas to a solid is a deposition. And so that happens when we change temperature or pressure and are able to cross this line here. So if we need to interpret these graphs, we are just looking, we're typically given a pressure and a temperature, and we find where that point is on the graph, and then we determine the state of matter for that substance. Or we will be told a change in temperature or a change in pressure, and we can follow along that line and see where we will cross and what phase change will occur. So they're pretty simple to interpret. Let's just go ahead and look at one quick simulation, and then you'll be ready to work on this in class. So this looks similar to the simulation that we saw before. However, the last one just had heat. This has a pressure measurement. So you can see here it demonstrates, it shows the phase diagram right here for this substance, and I'm right here, this little red dot. So if I were to increase the pressure, okay, you can see that as I add pressure to the container, I'm also going to start to affect the temperature. So somehow they're intertwined, and we'll learn about that later. And you can see that the red dot is now moving, and the more pressure I add and the more change in temperature there is, we can also change the state of matter using pressure. Okay, so in class we'll do a worksheet on interpreting phase diagrams for different substances.